Tokugawa Ieyasu, first shogun of the Edo period, was a significant individual in the shaping of feudal Japan. Born in 1543 to the daimyo of Mikuwa, Ieyasu was influenced by the beliefs and values of his society, which he used to bring about long-term peace and stability, providing a significant turning point for his country. His desire to make these changes came from growing up in the Bao's God Sengoku period. As a young man, Ieyasu was required to pledge his allegiance to his clan leader, Imagawa Yoshimoto. When the clan leader fell in battle with Oba Nobunaga, Ieyasu formed an alliance with Nobunaga and began his journey to unifying Japan, eventually under his rule. Tokugawa Ieyasu was strongly influenced by the beliefs and values of the time. During his childhood and early adult years, the ill-fated Ashikaga shogunate was in power. Although Ieyasu was born at the end of the Ashikaga shogunate, the constant battles for power that plagued the period deeply affected his childhood. This Bakufu never succeeding in gaining widespread political control. It was a turbulent and war-torn time, with warlords frequently attempting to increase their own power and territory. Tokugawa Ieyasu's mother was permanently separated from him when he was 2 due to her husband's changing allegiances, and Ieyasu himself was sent to live with the Imagawa family shortly after. However, the Ashikaga shogunate was an influence of Zen Buddhism in Japanese culture. There were 4 main religions in Japan during Ieyasu's life: Confucianism, Buddhism, Shinto, and Christianity. As a samurai, or bushi, Ieyasu followed Buddhism and was devoted to the Tendai sect. He also led his life according to the Bushuto way of the warrior, which was strongly influenced by Confucianism, which demanded loyalty to one's master, self-discipline, as well as respectful and ethical behavior. He was posthumously deified and given the name Toshio Daigogun. His strong belief in Buddhism provided the knowledge to base the edicts on, which would form the new way forward for Japan. As a devout Buddhist, Ieyasu feared the power of Christianity because it didn't meld with the samurai code. By the time Ieyasu retired as shogun and became a agushi, Christianity had began to spread throughout Japan again. Professor Shelton Wood's article titled "Religion in Tokugawa Japan" explains that Ieyasu continued the policy to suppress Christianity and signed the Christian Expulsion Edict in 1614. This edict made Christianity illegal in Japan and ordered the expulsion of all missionaries. Furthermore, he made Buddhism the dominant religion by ordering all Japanese families to join a Buddhist temple. Another step Tokugawa Ieyasu took in stabilizing the country's social and political climate was to write the Buk Shihinto and the Kuch Shihinto edicts for the country's inhabitants to live by, thus establishing Neo-Confucianism as the country's social and political doctrine. These edicts were codes of conduct, not just laws that must be obeyed, and appealed to a person's morals and honor. The basis for the edicts was a Neo-Confucianism philosophy which contributed to the Bushido way of life, and led him to believe that to have a harmonious society, there must be a reciprocal relationship between the superior and the subordinates. Philosophy was also used to divide the society into class groups. The strict Neo-Confucianism doctrine was used to stabilize Japan's social and political climate for more than 250 years. It was Tokugawa Ieyasu's alliance with Oda Nobunaga and then Toyotomi Hideyoshi that began his involvement in changing the destructive path that Japan was on. His alliances led Ieyasu to become a leader of a large faction of daimyos, with the largest, most reliable army in Japan. This new position had come due to his success in battles. His last and largest battle in completing the unification of Japan was the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, where he beat rival Ishida Mitsunari. This This illustrated reenactment by Jonathan Webb from The Art of Battle demonstrates Ieyasu's triumph, which led to Emperor Go-Yoshi granting him the historic title of Shogun. As Shogun, Tokugawa Ieyasu began the process of restoring stability to Japan and set the groundwork for his country's political stability and economic growth. However, much of this work was achieved after he retired and became a Goshi. After centuries of constant civil war, Japan fell into an incredibly long period of peace and prosperity due to the Tokugawa shogunate established by Ieyasu. David Liu's book, Japan, A Documentary History, explains that when Ieyasu retired as shogun, he turned the position into a primogeniture ceremonial one, which allowed for a smooth transition of power to his son. Tokugawa Ieyasu retired to Sanpu Castle in 1605. It was here that Ieyasu supervised diplomatic affairs with the Netherlands, England, and Spain. He was initially willing to continue trade with foreign countries, but eventually began to distance Japan from foreign influence in 1609, with the Dutch East India Company retaining their preferential trading rights. Ultimately, Japan became a sakuku, closed country, in 1633, effectively isolating Japan from the outside world. The Cambridge History of Japan, edited by John Whitney Hall, explains that in 1613, Tokugawa Ieyasu wrote the Kuchi-Shuhutu, which applied regulations that effectively limited the emperor and the daimyo's appointed authority, leaving them figureheads. Then in 1615, Ieyasu wrote the Bukushuhunto, laws for the military houses, which set out the future of the regime, stating the samurai of all domains must practice frugality, which encompasses the ideal future of prosperity for the shogunate. By the time Tokugawa Ieyasu died in 1616, he had become one of the most influential and significant leaders in Japanese history. While he didn't initially intend to unify Japan, under his mentors he began to see the importance of doing so. By being a successful military general, he became shogun of Japan, where he could strongly influence the social and political climate of the country. He was influenced by his beliefs as a Buddhist and believed that establishing a Neo-Confucianism social and political doctrine would be the best way to continue the beliefs and values of his society, thus ushering in centuries of peace for the country. Japanese society continues to idolize Tokugawa Ieyasu as a symbol of Japanese honor and tradition. Historically, Ieyasu moved Japan out of feudal war and chaos and into an era of nationwide peace and prosperity that nurtured cultural, intellectual, and spiritual development. Tokugawa Ieyasu's life achievements create a pivotal turning point for Japan, and his legacy still resonates into the present.